Bam! Alright, welcome your day. We're going to go over some materials you need to get started in acrylic or oil painting. Oil painting, the only difference between the things that you need here is that oil paints would need odorless thinner instead of water. Or not necessarily odorless thinner or terpenoids, whatever else. And that's basically it. And you might want some other different brushes, maybe a little bit stiffer. But moving on. So, and you also need different mediums for oil paints, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Okay, sketchbook, drawing pencil. You want to get different drawing pencils so you have different thicknesses and hardnesses of the graphite. So you can make softer lines or thicker lines depending on which pencil you have. So, sketchbook, get a pencil, draw, keep drawing, still lives. Things around the room, just keep drawing. Helps a lot, trust me. So, moving on. That's just kind of for sketchbook, and it really moves right into painting. So, here we go. First off, you need something to put your paint on. Glass works well, because you can just scrape it off, and it's nice and smooth. So you can use palette knives if you choose to. And we'll get to these a little bit later. So, what do we need? We need paint. These come in tubs, tubs, and jars. I would say get them in, if you don't know if you're going to do this, get them in small tubes, probably something about this size. But these are a little bit more expensive than these when you factor in how much you get. So if you can get these, get them. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to spend the ones that are like $10 a tube, the expensive professional ones, because you don't need those yet. And they really don't give enough to warrant doing that in the beginning, I think. I'm a professional. I'm Picasso, so yeah. So, next thing we're going to need are brushes. Two of the kinds of brushes you want to get. Round brush, flat brush, or filbert. Depends on if it's curved or not. This is a filbert. You want to get these two because they're basically the two main sort of brushes you want to get. There are some other ones later, but we'll move on, see if you want them another time. So the next thing you're going to need is a canvas. They have them in stretch canvases and boards. You should probably just get them the boards because they're a little bit less flimsy. Well, that's kind of, it depends on how you take flimsy. It's a little bit sturdier, like they don't tear if you like do something stupid to them. And they're probably a bit cheaper. Doesn't really matter where you get them. Obviously, the more in bulk you get them, the better, the cheaper. Next thing you want to get is an easel. An easel so it can hold up, otherwise just lean it on something. Good to go. You also want something to hold water in. Cup, something like that. It's pretty simple. Just mix it around. If you're using acrylic paints, that's what you're going to use. Oil paints need something else, and I told you in the beginning, it needs a thinner because it's oil. Oil doesn't mix with water, so unless you have water-soluble oils. Beating nature. But that's a topic for a different video. So you can use some water to thin out acrylics if it's too thick, okay. Or you can use medium. Medium is pretty important because water undermines the paint, so it doesn't do too well with the paint. So you don't really want to do that. You don't want to mix water with lots of water with acrylic because then it doesn't stick very well. So, what are you getting out of this? Get some medium, matte medium, something thin, some medium that's sort of thin, kind of like water. Maybe even like honey, but whatever works, whatever consistency works. So, some other things I want you to get. Squirt bottle. So it can keep your paints a little bit more wet, so especially outside, so you don't just crust up and dry up on you. If you use an acrylic, that is. Brush holder, some little canvas thing to roll up your brushes, but that's more in the future if you're traveling. And brush soap. Brush soap is very important because it really gets all the paints out of the brushes, and it's very, very important. So make sure you get that. It's like $10 for a little thing, the Master's brush soap, maybe even a big tub, but it's very important, but go get those later. Spend a little bit of money on brushes. You don't need really expensive brushes in the beginning because guess what? You're just kind of learning, okay? and you'll eventually learn what you want there. Another thing here, palette knives. They make it a little bit easier to scrape up paint and sometimes to put paint on the canvas. So if you can find those for cheap, plastic ones work fine. Don't really need metal ones. So these are all the things that you need. Got it down in 5 minutes. A little bit long. It should be all the things you need. Just remember, you want to get slightly more expensive acrylic paints. You don't want to get super expensive ones. I wouldn't say buy the tubes, because a lot of times once you squirt out the tube, you can't put it back in. These work very well. Cheap brushes work fairly well, but I don't recommend getting ones that are like $4 for like a 20 pack. So try and spend a little bit more brushes if you can. Generally with art, the more you spend, the better it is. And there's a pretty decent curve where, well, I don't know how the curve would be, but there's a pretty good curve on how much you spend and how much you get. So the curve would be more like this, okay? You want to spend a little bit more and try and end up more on this part of the curve versus part of the curve. So, enough rambling on, 6 minutes. It's got it all started, got all the things you need. Simple, explained it, good, awesome. If you got any questions, and you think I'm crazy and that I missed something, or that this painting's pretty nice, but this one needs some more work because it's not finished, well then go comment down below. Tell me if you like this. Tell me if there's something that you missed that you thought you should have needed, something that you wish you knew beforehand. And yeah, thanks for watching. Check out for the next video. Should be up soon.